To the bill sponsor, the distinguished gentleman from Arizona, Mr. Mitchell.
Chair recognizes the gentleman from Arizona for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in support of H.R. 5146, the Cancel the Pay Raise for Members of Congress in Fiscal Year 2011 Act, a bill to stop members of Congress from receiving the automatic pay raise in fiscal year 2011. Last week, the Senate approved this same legislation, and I'm pleased that today the House is finally following suit. With unemployment high and so many families under stress, it would be simply unconscionable for Congress to raise its own pay. But that is precisely what will happen in fiscal year 2011 unless Congress takes action to stop it. This bill is simply the right thing to do. Earlier this year, Chief Justice Roberts announced that in a major break from tradition, he will not seek a salary increase this year for federal judges. In light of the fact that, quote, so many of our fellow citizens have been touched by hardship, unquote. Likewise, President Obama has announced a pay freeze for senior White House officials as well as top appointees across the federal government. And as I mentioned last week, the Senate approved legislation to block the next automatic pay raise for members of Congress. It is time, past time, for the House to act. The American people are not getting a raise this year, neither should Congress. I want to thank Representative Ron Paul for his steadfast leadership on this issue. He and I have worked closely with each other for several years now to block the annual pay raise, and today's vote would not have been possible without him. Dr. Paul, thank you. I also want to thank the National Taxpayers Union, the Citizens Against Government Waste, for their support of our efforts to block the pay raise. And of course, I want to thank Representative Jim Matheson for his work on this legislation, as well as House leadership for allowing this important bill to come to the floor today. And I yield the balance of my time.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from California.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. This time I would like to yield 5 minutes to the indomitable, distinguished gentleman from Texas, Mr. Ron Paul, who has worked on this issue for some time.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Texas for 5 minutes.
I thank the gentleman. I ask unanimous consent to revise and extend my remarks.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of this legislation, and I want to compliment Mr. Mitchell from Arizona for getting this bill to the floor. We've worked on this for several years, and I am pleased that this is going to be passed today.